they decide to do what Card suggested.
And spring the trap.
Well, yeah, basically.
Hello there, I'm Darren.
And I'm Doogie.
And this is The Real Sequels, the series of events that happened after episode 6 in the books, novels, and sometimes comics in the expanded universe. Today we're on chapter 28 and 29 of Heir To The Empire.
Yeah, so we begin with Luke and Mara crouching in the forest a few kilometers from Hyllyard. It is just before noon, and they are trying to figure out how to proceed. They can hear the sounds of speeder bike patrols to the south, but nothing from the north. However, Mara recognizes this as a trap. QC.
It's a trap!
She explains to Luke that it's a common tactic to give the enemy an obvious entry point and then leave troops lying in wait to catch them there. So, with this knowledge, they decide to do what Card suggested.
And spring the trap.
Well, yeah, basically, they just decide, yeah, let's head straight for Hyllyard and try and bluff their way past. You know, that's all they can really do at this point. So they decide to do what Card suggested and basically pretend that Mara is the prisoner and not Luke in order to try and throw them off. However, Mara is not happy about handing the blaster over to Luke. She does so anyway because, you know, you're not going to have a prisoner carrying a gun. And as well as this, Luke places his lightsaber in R2. Before they head off though, Mara says that they need to disguise Luke's face. And so she looks about, then carefully uses her sleeve to pick a couple of leaves off a nearby plant. They brush these leaves over Luke's face, and it begins to swell up and turn dark from the allergic reaction, and this makes him pretty much unrecognizable.
Yeah, I say the comic, the pleasure in Mara Jade's face is class.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she
really hates that man.
I know. So yeah, they continue to make their way towards Hyllyard, and they are soon picked up by a pair of scout troopers on speeder bikes. Luke identifies himself as Jade, a bounty hunter, and the ruse seems to have thrown the troopers, as they were hoping it would. The troopers say that their officer wants to talk to them, and after taking the blaster from Luke, they escort the two of them back to their base. At the perimeter of Hyllyard, they are met by a man wearing the uniform of a major and 20 or so stormtroopers. Luke gives the same story as before, and then the major tells the stormtroopers to get the droid off the sled and to cuff the prisoners. Luke tries to protest, because they're putting handcuffs on him as well, but the major just tells him to shut up, and then they're both led into Hyllyard.
It's a good comeback, man.
Yeah.
Shut your pie hole! We're working here!
Yeah, like...
Classic Imperial.
Exactly. So the stormtroopers surrounding the two suddenly halt and change formation as they reach the first of the buildings in Hyllyard, and a moment later, a group of 5 scruffy-looking men approach the stormtroopers. 4 of them are clearly surrounding a prisoner in the center, and this prisoner has his hands tied behind his back. As the group gets closer, Luke can see that the prisoner is Han. The stormtroopers part and make way for the group after the men are relieved of their weapons, and one of them identifies himself as Chin, saying that they found this guy snooping around in the forest, and that maybe he was looking for their 2 prisoners. The major says that this is uncommonly generous, and if their story checks out, they will receive a piece of the reward. When the men ask for their weapons back, the major says that they can pick them up at the HQ later. The stormtroopers move out again, and they come to a street leading to the town square, and on the far side of the square is an impressive archway, 10 meters tall and 5 meters wide. Luke guesses that Han is here to help with some sort of ambush, and it is clear to him that the town square is the best place for it. However, Luke also knows that if it's obvious to him, it'll be obvious to the stormtroopers as well. Thinking quickly, Luke whispers to Han, asking if 3PO is here, and Han says yes, the droid is with Lando. Luke then takes a step towards R2 and trips the droid. As Luke leans down to help lift R2 in the confusion, he tells the droid to send a message to 3PO, telling him to wait until they are at the arch to start the ambush. The chapter ends with Han muttering, "I hope you know what you're doing." Hope you know what you're doing, kid. No, I can't do Harrison Ford, never mind.
Just point.
Yeah. So, chapter 29 starts with Lando and Aves watching the group of stormtroopers. Lando is looking round the corner of the window, and Aves is crouched by the windowsill. Lando is talking about the chariot assault craft circling overhead, when suddenly 3PO jolts. 3PO says he has a message from Luke that he wants them to wait until they are at the arch on the opposite side of the square before they start firing. Aves and Lando both realise that giving the stormtroopers the chance to get to cover behind the archway will make it more difficult once the shooting starts, especially since the smugglers are outnumbered 3-1. Aves also points out that if the chariot can land in front of the arch, it will cut off their firing vectors, and he says that he won't risk his people like that. However, Lando knows that Luke is counting on him, and it is in this moment that Lando realises this is what it all comes down to, where you decide who or what you trust, tactics and abstract logic, or people. Lando slowly rests the tip of his blaster on Aves' neck and quietly says, "We wait." See, at that part of the book, I got chills. Genuinely, it was just this is such a cool moment. This is why people love Lando. Maybe it just comes across better in the book. But I just loved that moment of Lando being like, I trust that he knows what he's doing, even though it doesn't make sense, even though it doesn't tactically, logically doesn't make sense. And I'm willing to risk upsetting this guy who's trying to help us.
And maybe shoot him.
Well.
That or else he's been hanging about with Han a bit too much.
Well, maybe. I thought it was just such a great character moment for Lando.
Yeah, it's kind of that bit of redemption as well I suppose this book's kind of written, the last time we see him is episode 6, but just before that, he was the betrayer. He was the guy that kind of sold Han out, and he's the guy that you can't rely on. He's the gambler, that type of person. It's nice to see that what he's become over between 5 and 6 and now in the real sequels.
So we switch back to Luke, Han, and Mara Jade being escorted by the stormtroopers. And just as the front section of the stormtroopers has passed under the archway, 4 of the stormtroopers blow up. It's the ones that were carrying the weapons from Chin, that they confiscated from Chin. Those 4 stormtroopers blow up. A split second after that, blaster fire erupts from behind the group. The stormtroopers react quickly, returning fire and taking cover in the archway. Luke, Mara, and Han are dragged behind the northern pillar of the arch, 4 troopers standing guard over them. A couple of speeder bikes move into the arch to add to the return fire, and Luke can see R2 trundling along towards them, trying not to get shot by the crossfire. Han frees himself from the trick cuffs and unlocks Luke's handcuffs as well. Luke tells Han to get ready to make a distraction. As the chariot assault craft comes into land and block off the entrance to the arch, Luke tells Han to go, and Han wastes no time tackling 2 of the stormtrooper guards to the ground, forcing the other 2 to step away and restrain him. Luke takes advantage of his momentary freedom and signals R2, who launches Luke's lightsaber right into his hand, just like from episode 6.
All the trumpets in the background as well.
Yes.
Luckily he brought them with him.
Yeah, it helps distract the stormtroopers, Luke cuts through the 4 troopers surrounding Han like a knife through butter, then turns and slices through the northern pillar of the arch with 2 quick cuts. He looks towards the southern pillar and sees the stormtroopers have become aware of this new threat. Hoping his plan will work, Luke locks his lightsaber on and throws it at the southern pillar. It slices halfway through the thick stone, and the crack from released tension is followed by the roar of falling stone blocks. Luke, standing on the edge, is barely able to jump out of the way in time. The stormtroopers never had a chance. End of chapter.
Just a really well put together chapter. It's quite short and it's quite quick, but it's very Game of Thronesy kind of, there's a trap, no there's a trap, no I'm a trap. This whole archway is a trap.
Yeah.
It was nice to see those character moments from Lando. And Yeah, and then Mara Jade actually, I think this is the turn of the curve. Her actually trusting Luke enough. Well, I suppose trusting his own kind of self-interest, I suppose. But I think there's something more than just that. Giving him the blaster and the lightsaber, he could have literally just turned around and shot her. But she knows that's not who Luke is.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, looking forward to see how this unfolds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have to wonder where this leaves Talon Card as well.
Yeah.
Because, he can't be neutral after this.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, that's about all we've got time for this video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Take a look at some of the videos at the end of this one. And we'll see you all next time. Bye.
Bye.